Hello, and welcome back to episode 9 of the Shameless Promo Podcast. I'm your host, Emergency.
And I'm Madison.
I
And
just realized I never introduced myself as Emergency on
I
this
know,
podcast.
it's
That
like,
felt
that's
very
new.
unnatural. My fault. I thought this was my channel, y'all. I went into autopilot. Ignore me. And today we're talking about celebrity record labels and management companies. Now, this is a business venture that I feel like is very typical for like celebrities and artists. I wouldn't say that this is necessarily them reaching outside of their bounds. This is kind of to be expected because this is their bread and butter, music and like the actual work.
Yes. And I respect it. I mean, we'll get into some of the practices, of course, because it's sometimes the artist labels can be not great for the other artists that are signed. But
Hmm.
in the general concept, I respect it more than like, I don't know, like a skincare line. Like it feels
Right.
more genuine and it's smart. It's a smart move. Like I think any artist ideally would start their own label so they can own their masters and they have more control over their music and all that stuff. So it is like a dream that I
Right.
definitely respect for artists. So yeah.
I think a quick question for you, Madison, since you are a musician, um, for like people that aren't as tapped into the music world, there's like these conversations all the time about like owning your masters and like having ownership over your stuff. Can you like speak to like what that means on like a day to day for an artist?
Yeah, so most artists don't own their masters. And the master or master recording is the recording of the song. So when a label owns the masters, that means that they have control over the music. They most likely are making a large portion of the royalties and like let's say, well, it gets kind of complicated because there's like publishing deals and then there's like licensing and stuff, but generally
There's so much that goes
speaking,
into it.
I know even I don't really fully understand the depths of it. I have like a general understanding, but like if you don't own your masters, you can't control whether a song is played in a commercial or used in a movie. The label has control over what can be done with the song. And then there's like I don't know. I could like easily just like go into like a whole like rant
Sorry to put
about
you on the spot.
yeah, no, but just basic definition of masters is the recording of the song. Most artists don't own their music. It's owned by the label. I'll just end it there.
Mic drop. That's crazy though, that like you hear like all these artists make smash songs and like put so much effort into their music and come to find out most of them don't own their shit. That's sad.
They don't. And what's sad is whenever an artist starts a label and they do the same thing to
Hmm.
other artists. And it's
Right.
like, how horrible that is. But the thing is, like, labels are a business and their sole purpose is to make money.
Yeah.
Music just happens to be the product. So naturally, like, record labels inherently are meant to service the label and fuck over the artist. Like that's just kind of how it's always been. It's gotten a lot better. Like people are a lot more aware of the deals that they sign. Like people aren't just like signing away their life blindly because we've seen time and time again how that has affected artists.
Hmm.
So it is a lot different now. But yeah, I mean, artists owning their masters to a label is like such a financial, I don't want to say it's a financial hit, but I think selfishly they're like, no, like we're gonna
Yeah.
own it.
We want the
So
money.
yeah, yeah.
Music really is such a business and not like business positive, more so business derogatory for like
This is
artists.
yeah. I mean, it's like one of the worst industries to try to make money in, which is so interesting when people are like, I want to be rich and be. It's like you don't make money off of music anymore. Like maybe if
Right.
it was like pre-streaming era, sure, yeah, you can make a lot of money if you're selling physical copies, but with streaming, it's just
Now,
like not
yeah.
lucrative at all.
I remember that. I always think about that one Chloe Bailey interview where she was talking about like the behind the scenes of like the music making process and how, like you said, there's no money really in music.
Yeah.
And even for like accolades and being like acknowledged for your work as like a singer, if you do want to be like multi hyphenate, multidisciplinary and produce and all that as well, you're not really being acknowledged for that professionally when it comes to like awards and stuff like that. So not making the money and not getting the accolades.
Right. I was shocked when she said that if you self-produce your record, you can't be nominated for producer of the year or
That's
anything like
crazy.
that. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, I'm so, yeah, it's wild.
If anything, that should be rewarded because that would like push people to become better full-fledged artists.
Well, that's the thing is I think a lot of these weird rules are just made to disempower the artist and try to put all of the power into the label.
That's so
So,
true. I wonder, this is just like conjecture, but I wonder if eventually there's going to be a point in music where it kind of gets to the point that I think a lot of actors are kind of at, where like the influencer boom kind of showed like media companies that like, oh, people, individuals can like run a whole show themselves and do everything themselves. So now like if you're looking at like things like the Emmys and stuff, you're having like YouTubers be nominated and the shows that they're putting on be nominated. I wonder like if that will transfer over in the music industry if they eventually ever do get to the point where like artists are able to be acknowledged for having the full package.
yeah, well, what I really think needs to happen is songwriters, artists, producers need a union really bad.
Yeah,
And I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. I'm sure there's some weird red tape BS that has prevented that from happening, but I mean, artist rights are just so, so horrible, like even worse than actors. And I mean, just the music industry, it's so easy for it to be predatory because at least with the film and TV industry, like if you're on a project, you're doing a movie or whatever, eventually it's going to end and you move on to the next project. And it's not as binding as the music industry, in my opinion,
yeah,
because I mean, with music, like you could literally sign your life away and like never release an album again because you signed a bad contract.
that's terrible.
It is terrible. Anyways, shall we get into
Anyways, with that said, these themes may or may not come up throughout the rest of this podcast. So definitely stay tuned, grab a snack, because we are now getting into the origins of the celebrity record label. Starting off first with the first ever record label founded by a A-list major named artist.
just a little underground indie
Right.
artist. You probably never heard of
You may have
him.
not heard of them before. Starting off with this really indie underground artist that you may not have heard of is Frank Sinatra. Yeah. I was shocked when I found this out. He is actually the first major artist to be like, hey, you know what? I don't like what's going on here in the music industry in the back end. I'm going to take this into my own hands and create Reprise Records. I'm trying to think about like 1960s, like how would they say it? Like they had like the
Reprise Records by Frank Sinatra. Whatever.
right.
I don't know what that was, but yeah, close enough.
That was your transatlantic, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, Reprise Records is an American record label founded in 1960 by Frank Sinatra and is owned now by Warner Music Group through Warner Records. And Frank, calling Frank Sinatra Frank just sounds so strange to me.
My boy Frankie. Yeah, we go way
Yes.
back.
Mr. Sinatra formed Reprise Records in response to his dissatisfaction with Capitol Records, another very prominent record label that is still going on today. The original roster of talent that he had with Reprise Records from 1961 to 1963 included artists like Bill Crosby, Joe Strafford, Rosemary Clooney, Duke Ellington, Nancy Sinatra, and Red Fox. As you could tell, this is before my time. Now, what made this label interesting and really shows that when it comes to like celebrity or artist backed and founded labels of earlier days are the founding principles behind what the label was based on. Like I said, this came as a response to some unfair treatment and processes with Capitol Records and Sinatra. So, some of the founding principles behind Reprise Records was that while Sinatra was the CEO of the record label, each artist would have full creative freedom and at some point complete ownership of their work, including publishing rights, which at that time was huge. And honestly, still to this day is kind of huge.
Yeah.
And a little question for you, Madison. I have seen a lot of discourse online when it comes to record labels giving artists like full creative freedom to do whatever they want because
Yeah.
that can kind of be a hit or a miss. Chloe Bailey for her last project had like complete creative freedom, or either for her last project or her first project had complete creative freedom. And because she had so much freedom from Parkwood, that like it kind of underperformed. Yeah, because
Yeah. Well, so I think yes, I think creative freedom should be granted to artists. Cuz I mean there's so many times where artists have like fought for creative freedom or fought for a song or whatever, and the label's like, "No, we don't want this. It's not going to be successful." And then it pops off and it's like the most iconic moment of their career. So I think for the most part, like, um great artists can definitely make amazing things out of complete creative freedom. I think when labels take control, like full control or most of it, what happens is either they have a very successful manufactured product that does well because it's, they punched in the numbers, they did the Max Martin formula or whatever. I mean, obviously Max Martin is like a pop genius, so maybe that's not a good example, but like,
he knows his stuff.
and sometimes labels take full creative control and the record sucks. So I don't know. I guess it's a gamble and it also depends on the artist and how they make art and if people
Yeah.
resonate with it and if it's something that's deemed as good in the public. But yeah, I think creative control is always something that should be granted. Now, if they get creative control and it flops, then yeah, maybe they need some guidance or need some help.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think kind of with that, with like the decrease in shelf life of artists nowadays, I feel like a lot of artists aren't really granted the opportunity to flop and keep going. So
Yeah,
that's
for
like kind of
sure.
where my hesitancy and fear comes for the artist, which I don't know. It kind of sounds contradictory being like, I care about the artist, but then also I feel like there should be some like intervention or input from like the label since ideally you'd hope that they know what they're doing. I'm like afraid of them having like full creative control and flopping, and then the label blaming them for that, and then
Yeah,
not giving them another chance or
which
like docking
happens
their
all the
funding.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I feel like it's different if like the label's all in control and then they flop. I feel like they'd still try and blame the artist, but like the artist has more of a case to be like, oh, I wanted to do this, but you told me to do that. And getting back on topic though, in 1962, Warner Bros. Bought Reprise Records from Sinatra as the label had actually been losing money. Actually, funny that we were talking about that. And through this acquisition, Sinatra still kept one third interest of the label. So he was still partially involved, but financially, for the sake of the label and the artists, probably under that label, it was time to sell to somebody else. And this seemingly went well until about 1976, where the Reprise label was actually deactivated by Warner and the roster was moved to the main Warner label, except for Sinatra and Neil Young, because yeah. And that was kind of it for Reprise for a while. Like all the artists went to Warner. Warner Records is known to be a pretty popular record label, I think.
Big 3.
Yeah. But right when things were looking bad for Reprise, well, they were looking bad for Reprise for almost a decade, honestly, because it wasn't until 1987 that Warner announced that they were actually bringing Reprise back. The revival of Reprise, the reprise of Reprise, if you will. And it's been going strong ever since. Some notable artists that are currently signed, you may know of. Indie artists like Green Day, Michael Bublé, Idina Menzel, The Deftones, My Chemical Romance, Enya, Stevie Nicks, and many, many more. And yeah, they've continued to be a pretty successful record label to this day. It's very interesting just to see the evolution of the label, having it go from something that was very much so in the artist control to now basically being a part of like the major labels, sort of against what the label was initially uh, sought out to do.
Classic.
Yeah, the full pipeline of it all.
Hmm.
Moving on to another celebrity backed label slash management company where the vision wasn't skewed. It's still going strong to its original values, as far as I know, is Beyonce's Parkwood Entertainment. Now, we talked about Parkwood last episode, I believe, talking about
Yes.
celebrity fashion lines because they are the same brand behind Ivy Park. But Parkwood Entertainment is an American management, production, entertainment company and record label founded by Beyonce as far back as 2008. When I was doing research, there is a little bit of skepticism as to when Parkwood actually was founded, because some say 2008 because they did produce a musical biopic called Cadillac Records, which Beyonce started in 2008. But as far as like work outside of the production side, sources say it started in 2010. So that little 2 year discrepancy is definitely a thing. Carrying on with our theme, what we talked about last episode with Ivy Park and the name of Ivy Park, the company was
She's like,
actually
a playground I used to frequent in my youth that was behind my grandmother's house in Oklahoma. Like, what?
like this lady loves Italian. She loves
I'm
Italian,
dead. She said,
and
I'm a storyteller.
and
Let's not
is
forget.
okay. This company was named after a street in Houston that Beyonce once lived on. Shout out to that.
Shout out to that street.
Right. When asked about why Beyonce made this label, because I think at this time Beyonce was in 2008, she was like a major star,
Mhm.
but still definitely pretty early in her career relatively to what we know her as now.
Right. Back when she was still doing interviews and shit.
Right. When she was talking to us, she showed her personality. Like, yeah, before she was Reserve Beyonce.
Reservoir.
Um,
She used to be silly Beyonce.
yeah. Yeah, she said that I started my own company when I decided to manage myself. It was important that I didn't go to some big management company. I felt like I wanted to follow the footsteps of Madonna and be a powerhouse and have my own empire and show other women when you get to this point in your career, you don't have to sign with someone else and share your money and your success. You do it for yourself. And that is fab. She's so real for
Amen.
that. I do think it's really interesting. At this point, I believe Jay-Z and Beyonce were together, right?
2008? Yeah.
They started dating in 2001.
Wow.
That's insane.
It's as long as I've been alive.
I find this interesting that Parkwood launched the same year as the next label that we're talking about after this, Rock Nation, because they're both powerhouse artists and moguls and record label owners. Um, and Beyonce never does anything on accident, and I don't think
Mm-mm.
Jay-Z ever does anything on accident like this. I feel like they were locked in for this,
Master
and I love that
plan.
for them. And Parkwood actually is very untraditional in the sense of a label. It definitely skews more so to generalize entertainment company, um, because most of their works are Beyonce centered. Like
Mm.
most of the discography under Parkwood Entertainment, the label is of Beyonce's work. In December 2013, Parkwood first released Beyonce's self titled album, Bianc. From there, they began releasing other visuals and music videos. And it wasn't until 2015 that they actually began managing other artists and signed the infamous Chloe and Halle, Sophie Beam, and Ingrid. Have you heard of those artists before?
I've heard of Ingrid. Don't
Okay.
know any. I don't think I know any of her songs though, or even what she looks like. Wait.
But yeah, just very interesting that there is such a small roster for Parkwood for music.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so small.
Literally like 4 artists, maybe 6. In 2016, Steve Pamon took over as COO and president of Parkwood. And in that same year, Beyonce released Lemonade. And Parkwood's been a very successful entertainment company at that. It's been listed twice by Fast Company as one of the top 10 most innovative companies in music in both 2015 and 2017. Right now, the only label signs under Parkwood are Beyonce herself, the Carters, the family, um, and Chloe and Halle, which brings us to her husband, Jay Z.
Mr. Z.
Mr. Z, Mr. Rock Nation himself, Mr. Don't Make Me Call. Rock Nation. Do you remember where that's from? You know where that's from?
No.
Megan the Stallion, when she was like trolling online. I think it was like during or after the Trey Songz trial. She
Oh.
was like on live and trolling people, being like, "Don't make me call Rock Nation," because Trey Songz's dad was like tweaking, being like, "Rock Nation will crumble."
Oh my god. That's funny.
Rock Nation is a very controversial record label, by the way. They have gotten in a lot of hot water and are the center of a lot of conspiracy historically. Like the Illuminati, like
Oh
I
right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
the Rock Nation symbol is why Beyonce has gotten Illuminati allegations for the past 20 years.
I hate us calling with that Illuminati mess.
Tuh. um, but yeah, Rock Nation is a very powerful label. And it's very interesting that it is so because it is a celebrity backed and founded label. Now let's get into a little bit of the history, shall we? Rock Nation is an American entertainment company founded by Jay-Z in 2008. Again, the same year allegedly as Parkwood, and served as the successor to Jay-Z's older record label, Rockefeller Records. You may know because that was a staple to the 90s and early
Mhm.
2000s.
Rockefeller with the
Rock.
A for all
Okay.
you people out there, just so you know. Yeah, literally. This is a nigga owned record label.
Okay. Well, yes. Now, Rock Nation is not just a record label, it is so much more. And this is part of the controversy, which we'll dive into a little bit later. It's not only a record label, it's also a talent agency, it's also a media production firm, also has its own clothing line, is heavily involved in the TV and film industry, involved in the sports industry. And as we'll get into a little bit later, they also like have a partnership with a greeting card brand.
Oh, I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, when I say Rock Nation has hands in almost everything, they do. The sole owner of Rock Nation actually still is Jay-Z, which is really impressive considering that for most of these celebrity labels, they usually either sell to another like parent label or another company or push the responsibility onto another person. Now, Jay-Z is very much still heavily involved and is currently the CEO of Rock Nation. Oh no, he's not the CEO anymore. Desiree Perez is the CEO, but he's still the founder and chairman. Rock Nation did not end up signing anyone until 2009. And their first sign was actually, could you guess? Does anyone know their hip hop history? Okay. You probably got it wrong, didn't you? Sorry to call y'all out, y'all. It was J. Cole. And I actually didn't know this. I didn't know my hip hop history. So I was kind of projecting there. Like, I didn't know that
I mean, yeah, neither did I.
J. Cole and Jay Z, well, the Jays, um, really linked up like that. I'm sure that had to be in like the marketing, huh?
Right.
Like J. Cole and Jay Z.
It'd be funny if originally was just Cole and he's like, well, you have to put the J contractually.
Right. Imagine. That's like a clause in the Rock Nation contract.
If I ever get signed, they're gonna be like, J Madison is actually your
J.
name now.
J. Madison, please. That just really tripped me. What is J. Cole's real name?
Jerome.
Jermaine Lamar Cole.
That was my second guess.
Because Jay Z, there's no J in Jay Z's name, real name.
No, the reason his name is Jay Z is because of the train line,
Oh, New
which I
York.
take almost every day, or the L.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the Jay Z. It's like the brown line. It's J or the Z.
Okay. Native New Yorker. Period.
We need to stop saying that because the native New Yorker is gonna come for me.
They've been riling up over the past couple of weeks because of this podcast, yo. It's
Literally,
a running bit.
I have the population of New York in a tizzy.
Madison has to hide in the streets whenever she goes out. Rock Nation was initially working in partnership with Sony, but in 2013, they switched over to a multi-year partnership with Universal Music because the partnership with Sony fell through. And like I was saying, Rock Nation has to be one of the most well-connected celebrity labels
Mm-hmm.
ever because they have hands in everything. There are so many divisions of Rock Nation. Like if you look, go over to Wikipedia really quick. Go over to Wikipedia. This is for the listener.
Oh, I'm
Go
like
over to
literally like
Wikipedia.
typing right now. I'm like,
That's
yes.
like, like go over to Wikipedia and look up their divisions. It's a lengthy list.
Oh my
They're
god.
right.
Not Rock Nation Sports.
There is so much. They really get into it.
Rock Nation Rock.
That's like Black Girl Sunscreen Men. You could have just been Rock
I
Nation with the
love
K.
I love Black Girl Sunscreen Men. That is like one of the funniest things I've heard all fucking year.
Unserious, actually. But yeah, they have their hands in everything, and that has gotten them into some trouble throughout the years, but also recently. Because in 2019, Rock Nation started a long-term partnership with the NFL. And if you know where I'm going with this, if you've been paying attention to pop culture, a certain queen of rap has been taking to Twitter, not so subtly shading Jay-Z and Rock Nation for having a little bit too much influence in the NFL, specifically with choosing the Super Bowl halftime performer. But yeah, it plays into the drama that was going on specifically on Twitter with Nicki Minaj being upset that Lil Wayne wasn't chosen to perform the halftime show in New Orleans when Lil Wayne is the Nola King. Um, it was implied that Rock Nation has a heavy hand in choosing who the musical artist is because, you know, they are a major partner. They are one of the strongest celebrity record labels. So the connection is definitely there. But as has been confirmed by the NFL and by the proceedings of how the halftime performer is chosen, the city that the Super Bowl is held in actually chooses the performer. They get like final say. So shout out to Kendrick. He's going to be performing. Although it is interesting, I will say, it is interesting when we get into the roster of Rock Nation because you may see some familiar faces of previous headliners. Rihanna. Um, but yeah, Rock Nation has a long list of notable artists currently signed to them, including Rihanna, J. Cole, Jay Z, Willow, Snow Allegra, and Ombre, and even more heavy hitters. I would say under their management than their label. You have people like Alicia Keys, Kelly Rowland, Lil Uzi, Megan Thee Stallion, DJ Khaled, Big Sean, and honestly, so many more. And like I said, Rock Nation has been in the game for a while. They've been there through the early careers of the greats and the legends, and actually used to have signed some icons like Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato, Shakira, and Meek Mill, which I also think is funny for the whole lore of you. Also questionable with what's going on right now in the entertainment industry. Anyways, but yeah, that's Rock Nation. There definitely is more controversy that I did not address just because, well, I didn't. But yeah, the lore goes so much deeper for this label specifically because it is so heavily involved in everything. Like again, there is the whole Rock Nation Illuminati allegations. Um, if you if you remember a couple years ago during the Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion trial, fuck
Mm.
Tory Lanez. Um, his father, when Tory Lanez got sentenced, was rebuking Rock Nation and saying that Rock Nation will crumble and that God himself will take down Rock Nation outside of the courtroom.
Lord.
It was a lot. It goes deeper. But yeah, for the sake of this podcast, that's Rock Nation.
Amen. Well, speaking of rappers and Big Sean, who was mentioned previously, now we're going to get into good music. Kanye West record label. Good Music, or Good, GOOD, stands for Getting Out Our Dreams, is a independent record label founded by Kanye West in 2004 in a joint venture with Sony BMG. Their first artist was John Legend. Well, I think John Legend and Common were like signed at the same time.
Oh, Light Skin Kings.
My favorite soulful light skinned men. Um, the first ever release from Good Music was Get Lifted, John Legend's debut album. They definitely contributed a lot to the initial success. I mean, they were the initial success. Both of their debut records were very critically acclaimed, many nominations, yada yada yada. Some other notable alumni of Good Music are Big Sean, Kid Cudi, Pusha T, Q-Tip, even Mos Def at a point, all
Oh
of
wow.
which who have departed from Good Music, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you guys can all predict why.
Well.
Well, um, but yeah, I mean they've released some very successful projects. Panda Panda, but just what I said.
Whose
That's
song was
not even
that?
what.
Whose song was that?
That doesn't even sound
Panda Panda is crazy.
you know, Panda Panda broads in Atlanta.
Ooh.
No, because it was giving Bollywood to me.
Oh. Everybody can get it.
Oh my god. Anyways, god, that song, I could not escape that song when it came out. Literally, like it was crazy.
I think about that era in cringe.
No, literally.
Was the peak of cringe. Like that was 2016?
Or like 2015. Yeah, I think it was 2016. When I hear that song, all I see is like Adidas track pants, Jordans.
I
and,
rebuke it.
and you literally flinched. You're like, no,
Mm-mm.
please.
Oh, I hate it. Camo and hitting them folks.
Oh,
That's yeah.
dabbing. A whole
Dabbing.
lot of this.
Oh, take
God,
it out,
Lord help us.
please. I'm glad we've actually. I'm not. We haven't evolved. Like people are tripping out now on TikTok, throwing the pelvis and their wieners at the screens.
I'm having a psychic attack.
It's too dark sided.
Literally. Oh my god. Anyway, not the spirit of designer like literally possessing us. All of Me, John Legend,
A hit.
another hit, number one. And of course multiple Kanye albums that were very successful. And the last release from Good Music was You Can't Kill Me in 2022 by 070 Shake. In 2010, they introduced Good Fridays, a free weekly song release. Good Fridays was pretty iconic. Monster was released on a Good Friday. um
Automobile Gangsta came from a bad bitch in Sri Lanka.
Pull up
What?
in the
Pull
Sri
up in the Sri
Lanka.
Lanka. Oh.
Oh my god. In 2011, Good Music served in my notes, it says iconic joint slay with a
Ooh.
little project that goes by the name of Cruel Summer, and not of the Taylor Swift variety,
Oh,
obviously.
what's the other version?
Well, Taylor Swift has a song called Cruel Summer.
No, I mean the non-Taylor version.
The album that gave us the iconic hit, Ain't Nobody Messing with what does he say? My click, 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 click.
Oh. I'm dumb. I'm not a Swiftie, y'all, by the way. That wasn't me.
That wasn't pro Taylor, anti Kanye shade.
No, yeah. That was more so me just not being tapped in. Just
Ain't
wanted to
nobody
clarify
messing
that.
with my motherfucking click, 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 click,
Hey,
click,
hey,
click.
hey, hey. I was about to start moving. That was a hit.
In 2013, Kid Cudi left Good Music. At first, not for any negative reasons. He claimed in a 2013 interview that he just had a shift in a creative vision and that he was never even signed officially to Good Music. It was more of a joint venture situation. So when he told Kanye he wanted to leave, there was really no hard feelings. Like it was like, yeah, do what you want to do, whatever. I forgot to preface by saying I'm going to be going into all of the Kanye and Kid Cudi lore because I really think it paints a picture for why so many artists have struggled with Kanye aside from the, you know.
Yeah, I know they have beef. They've had beef, right?
They have had beef. I mean, like, it seems I'm like, I feel like Kid Cudi and Kanye West have had more quarrels than Kanye has had with like Kim Kardashian. Like
That's crazy.
it like it really goes deep.
I was gonna say this is completely unrelated. I'm sorry. Um, it relates to Kid Cudi though. Whenever I think of Kid Cudi, I think of that one video of when he and Selena Gomez were on live,
Yes.
and he starts talking to her about the political and economic state of the world.
She's like, "What?"
They're at a
Well,
party and she's on live. Like, hello.
anyway, so at first there was no beef when he left Good Music, but that slowly, no, quickly changes and then it goes back and forth and back. It's a whole thing. Okay, so he leaves Good Music, and then when Yeezus drops, things start to get a little iffy because basically Kanye included some unapproved vocals of Cudi on the record, and he was like, "Oh, that's nice." And then he's like, "Wait, why didn't he just ask me? What the hell?" He
Right.
said, "The vocals that I did on the song was a couple years old. I forgot which session it was, but it was just a reference." Cuddy told the publication. "I discovered that I was on the song via Twitter. I saw kids hitting me up like, 'Are you on Guilt Trip?' or saying 'Great job.' And I'm like, 'What the fuck is everyone talking about?'" So I got on Twitter and then I hear the song and I'm like, "Okay, I know the beat, I know the song." Then I'm like, "Oh man, okay." Part of me was flattered, like, it's kind of cool that he thought of me. Then I started thinking about it more. I was like, why not call me and have me come in there and give it? Why underuse me? Why put 4 bars of vocals to coax my fans into thinking this is a legitimate Kid Cudi feature on the song, and it isn't? All tea, all shade. Also, is he
Okay.
getting paid for that? Like, were there credits?
Right.
Like, it's shady.
That's something I don't understand about rap specifically when it comes to features because there's so many examples of like an artist will be all over the song but they won't get any credit.
And
Drake.
then like and then sometimes they'll like a rapper will like whisper and they have a feature
Mhm.
on the song and it's like, "What?"
Right. Like what's going on? I didn't know that the City Girl, it was the City Girls on that one song. Pride. Yeah.
Oh,
You know the song I'm talking
yeah.
about?
It's
I
from
don't
A$AP
remember any of
Rocky.
the
Oh, I didn't know they were in the song.
clap if you wanna put your dick in it.
Yeah, it does sound yeah. Well, it's not just rap, to be honest. Like, I think a really famous example of this is when Kesha was on that Flo Rida song and like was not credited at all, but she's like the hook of the song. You
Like,
spin that head round, right,
that was
round.
Kesha?
Yeah.
Oh my god. See, it's ruining generations. We're losing recipes here.
We're losing recipes. So to continue, in 2016, he let it all hang out on Twitter,
Ooh,
girl. He
I hated that.
it's not, oh gosh.
Ooh. The spirits are coming
um
to attack. That's crazy. Saying you're letting it all hang out on Twitter means something completely
it
different
sounds like
nowadays.
he's sorry. Kid Cudi wasn't showing dick and balls on Twitter. He was just airing his grievances about the industry, Kanye, and some others.
Is.
Um, he said, "I'm the one they worry about because they know I don't give a fuck about the corny shit they do. All my youngins out here repping ASAP Rocky and the whole ASAP family, Travis Scott, Super Duper Kyle, Audio Push, Hit Boy, etc. I see y'all. And all you jealous chicken hearted shits, I see you too. I am the culture." I kept silent because I don't ever want to come off like some angry hater. But today, not only do I feel fantastic, I'm feeling like taking over. I already have. My tweets apply to who they apply. Ye, Drake, whoever. These niggas don't give a fuck about me, and you ain't fuck with me. Niggas keep you close when they know how powerful you are by yourself. When they see your greatness out of fear. I've been loyal to those who haven't been to me, and that ends now. Now
Ooh.
I'm your threat.
Ooh.
Anybody got an issue with my words? I'm glad. If you
Ooh.
feel me, don't be scared to use your voice. I was for so long out of blind loyalty.
And I know that was before you had like the long character things on Twitter. So that was multiple. He was going off.
Yeah, he was literally on a fucking tweet tirade. Have you on the blind loyalty? Because that'll come up later with another artist.
Uh-oh.
which unfortunately seems to be a theme.
Mhm.
Kanye follows up. Do you know how many people wish they could be signed to good music? West told the crowd, according to E. Get their life changed, have an opportunity. Never forget that. I am so hurt. I feel so disrespected. Kid Cudi, we are two black men in a racist world. Not him pulling the block card.
Oh wow.
Don't ever mention my name in a bad manner. None of y'all.
Mm.
And then 6 days later, they kiss and make up, and everything's fine.
Do they kiss on camera? Please tell me they kiss on camera.
If only I meant that in a metaphorical sense. But
It happened behind the scenes. That's what it's talking about.
um he said, the most important artist of the past 10 years, the most influential, and I hope he's doing well. West told the crowd between singing. I just want to take this time out to say Kid Cudi's my brother, the most influential artist of the past 10 years. How did that happen in 6 days?
They,
Maybe they were both having like a manic episode or something.
I think so. They're manic epilepsy. Whoa, they're manic
Manic epilepsy.
episodes. Their manic episodes linked up to maximize their joint slay.
Period.
Yes.
Anyways. So everything is fine. They're performing together. They're keying. They make an album together. Shout out Kid See
Wow,
Ghost. They're even out spotted whining and dining with Hollywood's favorite twinks, Timothy Chalamet and Pete Davidson.
that's so
And
funny.
and you know, they're vibing. The Pete Davidson is relevant. The Pete Davidson of it all is relevant because he is the
Oh,
topic of their next beef.
not they're gonna repeat history.
Yeah.
Sorry. The Arianator jumped out.
What does she say? Repeat his positions. I don't remember the melody.
Repeat history.
History.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
y'all get it. Y'all got it.
Am I gonna lie? Yeah. Okay, so Kanye in an Instagram post says, just so everyone knows, Cudi will not be on Donda because he's friends with you know who. You know who being Pete Davidson.
Uh-oh.
He's such a drama queen. Like, he's who shall not be named.
Like, come on now.
And then Cudi responds and says, too bad I don't want to be on your album, you fucking dinosaur. Ha 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 ha. He said, you stupid fucking dinosaur.
That's crazy.
Everyone knows I've been the best thing about your album since I met you. I'ma pray for you, brother.
It's the way that they go from loving each other to like absolutely eviscerating each other online. Like that.
How do you come back from that?
I don't
He's
know.
like, remember when you called me a fucking dinosaur? Good times.
That was
Love
such a good
you.
time. Oh my god, these divas.
Oh god, these divas. No, literally. And then he continues to speak on it via Twitter. He says, "We talked weeks ago about this. You're whack for flipping the script and posting this lie just for a look on the internet. You ain't no friend. Bye."
Sassy.
The sass, yeah.
He said, "Bye, Bookie."
He said, "Bye, bye."
It's over. It's over. Oh yeah.
God opens the door so the wrong people can exit your life. Amen.
Amen.
Some of the last words he says publicly about Kanye is in August 2022, and I think really speaks on the environment of good music and the issue with artist labels sometimes. He says, I've been on every one of this man's albums. He's only been on 2 of mine. This should tell you something. And don't think I didn't ask. And I think that really touches on kind of the power imbalance that can happen with artist-owned labels. There's a power imbalance in general just with the label artist relationship, but especially when it's owned by a artist. I have this theory that like whenever you're signed to an artist label, you may run the risk of never really reaching your full potential because the artist still has their best interest in mind, and they're, I feel like, not going to allow you to get as big as them, if not bigger, because then it's just like, it's like a conflict of interest, you know?
That makes sense. And you also, with like the power imbalances there, you kind of feel like indebted to
Right, the
help
loyalty,
them through
because,
everything. Yeah.
yeah, because a lot of these artists look up to the artist they're signed to. Like any rapper, of course, who's signed under Good Music is has grown up with Kanye and is like they feel like they need to stick with him because not only did he do so much for their careers by signing them, but also it's Kanye West. And when
Hmm.
your rap idol is doing all this for you, it's hard to walk away, even if they aren't
Literally.
treating you well.
And like especially for like the actual like work at hand as well. Like you and this comes up a lot with like OVO where Drake will like find I don't know how this became like Drake hate, but whatever. Drake will like find like the next up and coming rapper that's like really hot and get them on a song with him, sign on OVO, and then basically like shelf their entire career while taking all the profits from
Yeah,
the
classic
collab.
uh music industry move.
Hmm.
And Kid Cudi touches on the power imbalance thing. He says, "Do you know how it feels to wake up one day, look at your social media, and you're trending because somebody's talking shit about you? And then you got this person's trolls sending you messages on Instagram and Twitter, all in your comments? That shit pisses me off. That he had the power to fuck with me that week. That he used his power to fuck with me. That pissed me off. You're fucking with my mental health now, bro." In the article, it says he's watched so many people over the years who were close to Ye get burned by him doing some fucked up shit, and they turn around and forgive him, and there are no repercussions. You're back cool with this man. He does it over and over. And yeah, I think him being Kanye West is like a big reason for that. And people just
Yeah.
kind of forgive him because of the loyalty aspect and the fact that they look up to him.
Yeah.
Now going back to Good Music's timeline, their lore, or whatever, in a tweet posted in 2016, Good Music essentially announced the departure of multiple artists by releasing a talent roster. I don't know how to pronounce this. Debange,
That was pretty good. I don't know how
Mal-
to pronounce it.
Malik Yusuf, Ryan McDormand, and Mr. Hudson were no longer associated with Good Music. John Legend also left Good Music after his album Dark and Light. What's interesting is initially, like way back when he signed with Good Music back in like 2004, his team didn't want him to sign with Good Music because you signed to Good Music and like you have to go through Good Music to Columbia, so it's just a lot of like it's like an extra barrier. He said, and you give up certain things when you sign to an artist production company, which I wish he elaborated more on that.
Right. Too tough.
Yeah, it's like, why? What do you lose? Um, but I feel like it was the right move for me because creatively we were in a great place together and his star was ascending as a producer and as an artist. I felt like being a part of that team was going to propel my career to a place that it needed to be, and it did. But whatever drawbacks he may have contractually had by signing to Good Music at the time, clearly the positive outweighed the negative for
Yeah.
a few years. And the reason that John Legend said that he left Good Music was because of him and Kanye's differing political beliefs
Oof.
and him running
That'll
for
do it.
president in 2020.
That'll do it.
Yeah, what it got described as was we stopped being friends because he supported Trump, which was a mischaracterization of what I said. Legend said in an interview with the New Yorker. That was kind of the Rupert Murdoch version of the story. It was all over the New York Post and Fox News. So I don't know. Maybe it wasn't political differences, but I don't know.
That's probably part of it.
Yeah. Pusha T stepped down as president and also denounced his affiliation with Kanye for the same reasons. In 2021, Big Sean left. I remember this beef very
Oh.
clearly. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but basically, Kanye and Big Sean were like going back and forth on Drink Champs. Oh my god, it was messy.
How did I miss this?
I was all over it. Uh, Big Sean said, "That's a forever brotherhood, but business wise, I had to start getting a bigger cut. I worked my way out that deal." And he goes more into detail and like really bears it all on Drink Champs. So he basically said that Kanye slash Good Music owed him $6 million.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he figured that
Hmm.
out because he had an auditor audit the books and realized millions of dollars worth of royalties were not being paid to him for years.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That is quite the scam.
that is quite the scam. And I think the reason he got an auditor in the first place is because he was trying to get out of his deal and realized like it wasn't serving him at all. And so one of his managers was like, "Oh, have you considered like have you ever audited the label?" And he's like, "No, never." And they're like, "Yeah, you should go ahead and do that, brother." And so yeah, he realized he was missing $6 million.
How much money you gotta have where you didn't notice you're missing $6 million?
Yeah, I guess he didn't realize like what his contract entailed. How many times am I gonna say that? Um, yeah, I don't think he was aware of what he signed and
Mm,
just didn't realize like, oh, all this money is going somewhere else.
not me.
So he had to really fight his way out of his deal. Um, and he explains that like a lot of the beef stems back years from when him and Drake worked on the song Blessings, and Kanye basically had this like massive ego trip and last minute was like, "Oh, let me get on the song" cuz Drake had a verse on it, and he was just trying to compete with Drake pretty much even though the album was literally supposed to go out like the next day, and he's like, "No,
Oof.
let me record a verse." And he like helps him write a verse too, which is like kind of wild, but you know, loyalty, 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 I guess.
You ain't
um
that.
um and he's like shooting a music video for it, and then Kanye calls him up and is like cursing him out and like saying all this crazy shit, and he's like, you're not loyal to me, you're loyal to Drake, da 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 da. It seems like a lot of issues that come up with Kanye and with other people is his incessant need to compete with Drake. Like,
Mm,
he cannot leave that man alone. He is obsessed with Drake.
okay.
Kanye responded as well, okay, I forget which happened first, but he was like, I already decided that when I die on my tombstone, it's going to say, I deserve here because I signed Big Sean. And then he said, the worst thing I ever done was sign Big Sean.
That's insane. Drama.
I know, literally drama, 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 drama. I think he said that first, and then Big Sean was like, "Okay, let me clear the air." Big Sean posted a picture of him and Kanye with the caption, "Was just with this man. He ain't say none of that."
Ooh.
In October 2022, oh my god, 2022. What?
Too many tools.
It was revealed that Def Jam had officially parted ways with Kanye, and Good Music was no longer in a distribution deal. So that's the end of
Womp
that.
womp.
Womp
Rip
womp.
good music.
Yeah, rest in peace. Sorry to all the artists who had to suffer under Good Music.
Right. I hope they're on to bigger and better.
Amen.
With that said, I guess the final part of this week's episode is more of a question. Why do artists make their own labels if we see that there is so much that goes into it, goes on within them, and as well as some of the negative consequences that come from being in one stage of power, going to another stage of power, and then doing the same thing that was done to you onto others?
One simple answer. Money, money, money. Money,
Hey,
money in a rich
y-
man's world. Yeah, I think it's just money, to be honest.
what money
Thoughts?
make a bitch do? What what money? What a
Who
check?
said that?
What
A dollar
what
make me holler, honey boo boo child.
is that dollar? It's a dollar. Ooh wee, young Nudie
Oh, okay,
said,
young
"Ooh
nudie.
wee, look what that money make a bitch do."
Nice.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I get hood.
I get ghetto.
I get ghetto. No, yeah. Um, money for sure. Like money, I feel like really does transform a lot of people, and especially like in like a business relationship with artists. Like you can go in with like the best intentions, being like, "Oh yeah, I want to be there for artists the way that labels weren't there for me." But as soon as the checks start coming in,
Like, ow.
you start to see the money that the labels are making. You go, "Oh, maybe we can cut a corner there. Maybe they
Yeah.
don't need all of that, you know?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it really comes down to money. creative control for sure for the artist. And it really does cement you as like a legacy artist / celebrity. Like if you can make your own label,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, and like have people like actually sign to that label with fruitful careers, then you're kind of set up for life. Like
Definitely.
these things are going to outlive you. Like
Yeah.
Reprise records, like Frank Sinatra was always going to be an
Still
icon.
going. That man been in the grave
But-
for years.
Okay. He is nothing but a bag of dust, maybe, if we're lucky. But we're still here talking about
I bet they have his body in some cryogenic chamber somewhere, honestly.
to
but
bring him back for the 200th year anniversary.
That would be like that's iconic. I'm like, that would be terrifing. But yeah.
That would be incredibly spooky. But yeah.
Well, Rock Nation, if you're listening, don't you know, like I would love a label. I would love a deal.
Not you posted up asking for the deal.
I'm like, they're gonna when I get famous, they're gonna be like, Madison signed her soul to the Illuminati. Please sign me.
They're gonna source this podcast episode. Have the dramatic music and the zoom in. Oh my god. But yeah, would you say that celebrity labels and management is a shameful or shameless promo?
It can be quite shameful in the sense that the exploitation of artists is it's no bueno. So
Not cute. Not cute.
Yeah.
I'd say that more times than not, it is kind of shameful.
yeah.
Like, I don't think that there's a label out there, a major artist label out there that is consistently doing good with the artist's interest in mind.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately.
And I think that's just the name of the game, to be honest, which is sad to say.
Sad but true.
Because when you are 100% pro artist,
This is not lucrative.
yeah, you sign to Warner Music.
Yeah.
Shame.
Shame.
But yeah, y'all, that's gonna be it for this week's episode.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for staying.
Support an
tuned.
independent artist. Hey, should get on Spotify.
In the meantime, tap into Madison, Spotify, and Apple Music,
And tap into our YouTube channels.
Yes.
YouTube.com/emergency. YouTube.com/Madison Brown.
Madison Brown. Okay. Are you bringing back the vlogs anytime soon?
Maybe. I don't know. I should.
You're in your active era. You're in your fashion era.
Might as well document.
But yeah, y'all, thanks so much for supporting the podcast so long. Next episode is our season finale. So get excited, get ready for that. Tell a friend to tell a friend about this podcast and really share the shameless promo spirit influence out there.
Share the shame.
Share the shame. Like, ask your friends, do you ever wonder, like, I can't even finish the joke. Never mind. All right, y'all. Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.